Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be going over everything that you should avoid when buying airsoft gear. So I'm going to be going over a couple of the mistakes I made while buying gear, so hopefully you can avoid them and you can see how to properly buy gear, as how I went about it was not exactly ideal. So first things first, I'll show you my first ever airsoft purchases I did. So on screen now, I'll show you a picture of me. This is me on my first game day ever. So as you see, I was renting and playing with some friends. And even though I just went out with a rental gun, I loved it so much. I managed to get a couple kills, even managed to there was like a ditch area where both teams need to attack into this ditch, and there's like a bridge to go across. And there was like a piece of cover near there. I literally just sat there, and as soon as anyone would get near, would just shoot them. And although, yeah, I was using the rental M4, it did wonders. So I enjoyed it so much that as soon as I got home, went in, loaded up a basket on just BB guns. So this is my receipt for my first ever purchase. So as you can see, what an idiot. Who realistically is spending 1.3k on their first time buying airsoft gear? So I had done no research on any of these kits before I was even buying them. All I thought was just, these are cool, and I've liked them in Call of Duty. I mean, the Barrett was one of my favourite snipers, at least in COD, but realistically I should have considered, maybe it wouldn't be ideal on an airsoft field. And could have looked into a better Barrett to start, but I just saw like, £100 Barrett, that doesn't sound too bad. 430 FPS, that doesn't sound too bad. And yeah, it was a mistake. So as you see here, so I got the Barrett, I bought a bipod for it, a scope that was also £100, which, although it was a really clear scope, like if your sniper's not shooting that far, is it really worth it? No. I bought a double barrel M4, and if you've seen Airsoft GI's video on guns you shouldn't buy, it was actually on their list. I hadn't seen it at the time, but I'll quickly show you a clip from that just so you can see.
Guys, at $500 you could buy 2 airsoft guns, and at least you could give one to a friend to go to the field with you and play and watch your back. Not with this one. No, these barrels are stuck together. You gotta reload the magazines every single time.
And although it was a really cool gun, and like I thought it was very cool, as I had seen some footage of people with it, and I thought like, wow, a double barrel M4, it's like having a shotgun with assault rifle capacity. And yeah, that's why I bought a double barrel M4. And then I bought 2 Bubba Yeager Combat Masters, which are on screen here. So the double barrel and the dual wield pistols, I bought bundles for both of them, so you can see what was included in the bundles, and then you can see the extra stuff I bought on top of it. So extra mags, some of them came with ammo, batteries, some gas, and some eye protection, as you can see. Of course, I didn't actually like these eye protections, so as you can see in the basket as well is this helmet, which was, I think it was 100 to 110 pounds, and that much for a helmet is ridiculous. And also it featured a like anti-fogging system built into it, so you could actually like twist the dial and it would activate a fan, which was cool. But the problem when you're wearing a big like bucket style helmet like that, where it's covering your whole head, is one, the intended user for it I think are taller users, and if you see here, I'll show a picture of the screen of me wearing it, how it's like just way too big for my head. It did fit okay, and it was actually decently comfortable, but the problem you have is you've only got those 2 small lenses, and there's not actually much breathing or ventilation that you can breathe out of, so you would still fog up from time to time. The anti-fogging did actually work pretty well, but yeah, £110 for a helmet, crazy. It did have a GoPro mount, which was cool, but most tactical helmets, like I'll show this one I bought from Amazon, which was only £28. They also have the camera mount spot where you can then mount the GoPro, so would have been a lot more useful. Out of these 4 guns I first bought, only 2 of them were useful. So the 2 high kappa pistols, I'll show you some gameplay in a sec with them. So as you can see, it'll be my very old Akaso EK7000 camera, which I got from Amazon at the time. So you can see for that, it doesn't actually flip the video, so you've still got the like random timestamp or date stamp on the bottom as well, but because you've got it upside down as you got it mounted, it's just randomly there. So I'll show you some gameplay now with that. Thank you. But yeah, although my first 4 guns, only 2 of them were actually useful, those high kappas were great and a lot of fun to play with. Like running around with 2 pistols, the main thing you get is, one, you can cover 2 angles at once, which is something you can't do with just 1 weapon, and also you've got the versatility of pistols. They're quite compact, so your barrel length doesn't expose you as you go around corners. You can quickly peek a corner. I'll put your pistol gameplay tagged on the screen so you can check that one out, as that's me running around with the pistols I use at the moment, being an SSP-28 and an SSP-18. But yeah, so as you can see, I wasted almost 1.3k on airsoft gear that wasn't actually usable. I'd say from it, only about 300 of it was actually useful for what I enjoyed. So wasted a K just like that. So don't do what I did. So next I would say is, don't buy things because they look cool or have a gimmick. So when I was buying my first guns, as you see, I got the double barrel M4, and that I actually had watched a video gameplay of someone using it, so I'll quickly cut to that. So this is the video of the double barrel M4 gameplay. So as you see, he's got 2 tracers on it. He's absolutely cooking with it. It was so cool to watch. And yeah, so I bought the double barrel M4, spent an extra £110 to get 2 of the Ace Tech Brighter C tracers, which were 55 each. Knowing that, well, I think I had the impression at the time that, oh, maybe I would play indoor at some point. And yeah, it's been 2 years and I've never played an indoor game where I've actually needed a tracer, but for me it was just it was cool, so that's why I got it. But don't make my mistake. And I'd also advise you for specialty weapons, so things like snipers, shotguns, LMGs, grenade launchers. Sure, they're cool and they have their like niche use cases. So snipers, obviously they excel at long range, but the problem is with a thing called a minimum engagement distance, means that you can't shoot someone too close with the sniper if they're like right next to you. And no, this isn't Call of Duty where you can just quick scope someone. So yeah, although you might see sniping videos like either Lovrich, Silo, Airsoft Cam Man, Kicking Mustang, just to name a few of them with their like highly tuned snipers, and even though they use different snipers, you see them like getting loads of kills. Your first time sniping may not be like that, and if you commit to buying a sniper first, you're kind of stuck with it, as if that's your first gun, that's like your first thing you're going out with. And in terms of having fun, You may get a couple kills with it, but unless you're going to be willing to put in the upgrades to upgrade the sniper to a certain level, then you're not going to be doing as well as they are in their videos. So although they make them look amazing, just consider that sniping might not be for you. It isn't for everyone, and it's a certain playstyle that some people enjoy. Some people play it a bit more like sit-down sniping, where you sit in one position, maybe with a ghillie suit, and shoot out, whereas some like to play a bit more aggressively with their team and go for some closer range, or still in their minimum engagement distance, but more of an aggressive sniper. Shotguns are actually really fun to play with. So this is the shotgun I first got, which was the SEMA SGR12 Platinum Edition, and it was really fun. I even got the Tokyo Marui AA12 drum mag for it. So having 3,000 rounds, being able to have an electric shotgun that could shoot 3 shots at a time and still have... so this actually featured a individual hop for each barrel, so you could still extend it to AR ranges if you wanted. The only problem I had was, at the time, I was still using .2 BBs with it, which wouldn't shoot that far. The full auto on it was really fun, and even the semi-auto still did decent range. But at some sites for chronoing shotguns, they want you to individually put 1 bullet in, shoot, so that it's only shooting out of 1 barrel at a time. Because when you shoot 3 shots through a chrono, sometimes it can read like ridiculous figures. I'll see if I've got a picture of it myself, but sometimes it can show like 570 to like 700 FPS. And of course your shotgun's not shooting that far, but when it's reading all 3 pellets going through at once, it sometimes just either adds the total or it just confuses the chrono basically. So some sites will make it so that you individually put 1 BB in, so if you're using a shell shotgun, then 1 BB per shell, and then shoot it out like that so they can see the FPS of just 1 shot at a time. But for some shotguns, when they're shooting through, they just don't read correctly, so they might not be allowed. Although the AA12 or SGR12 was fun, you can't use the full auto capability of it when you're up close and personal, as most sites don't actually let you use full auto in close quarters range. They usually only let you do it on like far distance outdoor. Otherwise, everyone's going to be hurt and it's not a fun day for everyone. Also, for shotguns, so you can get either spring, gas, or electric shotguns, or even HPA if that's your thing as well. No, I'm not going to hear you out on your single shot spring shotgun that you claim to be a sniper. If you're using a shotgun, I always prefer a tri-shot because I think it looks cooler when you're seeing like 3 pellets come at once on your target, or most tri-shot shotguns also have the option to do 6-shot, which makes it look and feel a bit more like it. Another impracticality of shotguns is most of them use these 30-round shells as so. You can get a couple different brands of them, but for them, I'd definitely recommend getting a shotgun to M4 adapter, so then you can just use regular assault rifle mags, and you can increase your capacity from 30 to up to 120 or 250, just like that. And they're not too expensive either. They can be about £20 to 30 or 40, but increasing your capacity by that much, I would definitely recommend it. I'd also say LMGs are very cool. I've seen some really nice ones. I've got a video here of this guy who had the Bolster Armory's LMG. So this one was the patrol base upgraded one, and it did shoot beautifully. Like, I'll put a video of on the patrol base site where they had shot it to do a demo, and
then moving on to full auto.
Give it a go. Fucking hell, what's that? It's my first time, I didn't know.
Oh god, go give it a go.
You can also see my friend here when they were taking the gun off someone. They didn't have the trigger safety / sensibility, so they accidentally full autoed someone in the face, like really close. So it was funny, but yeah, obviously if that guy hadn't taken it well, it would not have been a good day. But yeah, that was a 1.5k LMG, which is crazy considering I wasted 1.3k on my first purchase, but yeah, 1.5k on one airsoft gun is crazy, and it did perform really well and shot really nicely. But yeah, I mean, LMGs, they're nice, but most LMGs are only locked to safe and full auto. So most of them don't actually have semi-auto capability, meaning that if you're playing in close quarters or indoors, then you can't actually make the most of using that LMG, which, yeah, you may have spent like a crazy amount on it, but if you can't use it in certain circumstances, like, it's not very good. Of course, it has its niche of being a support weapon, meaning that you can just be like spraying people out there. So as you see, the W23 micro gun, my minigun, put a picture of it on screen. I do love that so much. Like, it may not shoot the furthest. I think its FPS is only around 250 to 270, but just being able to spray a mountain of BBs and just a minigun, it's cool. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend it as a first gun, but if you're getting something else more fun down the line and you want to try and do the support weapon like user, then yeah, I definitely recommend it. Down the line though, not as your first. So I definitely recommend, as in my starter guide, which I'll tag on the screen, a AEG, so automatic electric gun. I'd either recommend an assault rifle or an SMG as your first gun, as some SMGs, even though they have a shorter barrel than some assault rifles, they can still be good enough to use outdoors or indoors, and you have the bonus of them being a little bit shorter, so you don't have like your barrel length going too long while in CQB, for example. So yeah, I would say your first weapon should definitely be an AEG, like I said, and then your second weapon, where you go from there, I would usually recommend getting a secondary of some sort of pistol or something, so that you've got the whole full feeling of gear of having a primary and secondary. And then from there, you can then experiment if you want to go for like a niche weapon in terms of a sniper, shotgun, LMG, grenade launcher. Oh, forgot to mention the grenade launcher. I did have one, and grenade launchers, they're not projectile ones like in Call of Duty, for example, where you shoot it and it'll shoot a grenade and then it'll explode. They're pretty much just amplified shotguns. So most airsoft shotguns are shooting 3 BBs per shot, but grenade launchers, you get these Mossclot shells, which I'll show a picture of what they look like, and they're filled with green gas, and the capacity of them can range from around 60 to 120, and you pretty much, as you shoot it, it just makes a massive cloud of BBs. It's only effective for about up to like 10 meters. It doesn't hurt to be hit by. I can actually show you a video of me being point blanked by my friend pretty much with one, just so you can see how the cloud of BBs look. I'll try and slow it down as well so it looks a bit more cool. And yeah, they're fun but impractical, and although I had the 6-barrel like war machine kind of grenade launcher, although it was fun, unless you can get really close to people, so if you're playing in CQB you might have a better chance at it, but then you're limited to the range of the grenade launcher, so it's not ideal. So if you want a specialty weapon for down the line, it is fun, and I still am currently using one of these handheld grenade launchers, which they're only about £45 from SEMA. I'll show a picture on the screen of that, and I usually have it clipped in to my setup and then have my mags here. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and if you use that in one hand and a pistol in the other hand, it's a bit more viable. So we've covered my wrong first purchases, and also covering not going for a niche weapon just because it looks cool if you've seen a cool video from it. So now we'll be talking about settling for something cheap or going for something that's expensive. So another mistake that beginner players make, or even some more experienced players, is you may see something and think, oh, because it's cheap, it might be bad. Or you might see something and be like, oh, this is over £500, so it must be good. But the problem you have is if you don't read into the specs of them or the features, or if there's not much videos online of people using them, then it's very hard to gauge whether or not a replica is actually good or not. As a lot of these like unboxing and review videos will actually show you the replica, and they'll show it firing so that you can get an idea of how it is. Some people, when they're taking these weapons in their reviews, they also do a gameplay with it, which is a good idea of seeing how the rifle replica performs out of box. So I would definitely recommend, if you are going to buy anything, then try and do some research on it. Try and watch a video on it. Like, if you can watch a couple of reviews to then get a better idea of if people actually recommend this weapon, or if it's not for everyone, or needs some upgrades to do it. So that would definitely be a good idea. Another thing to consider is also, if you have friends who play Airsoft, or you know people who are there at the Airsoft field you play at, then you can ask other people if they'd recommend this weapon. As for some people, they may say it's a good thing, some may say it's not. So at least going through your friends and like other players is a good way to gauge how good Airsoft gear is. And you can also look on some distributors' websites. They also have like reviews from people, so you can see what people think, like either what they think's good about the product or what they think's bad. And you can see the overall rating as well, and that might give you a more informed decision of if you buy something. But just because something is on the cheaper side does not mean that it's bad necessarily. As the Baba Yaga Combat Masters I got, although I think separately from the bundle they were around 125 to 150 at the time, they are still very good pistols. They're from SRC, which is not the most well-known brand, but they do have a few different options of weapons, and I do think they were good at the time. And I still, to this day, would have actually used them if I did decide to keep them. So yeah, the brand of weapon doesn't matter too much. Like, you may see a more expensive brand and be like, oh, maybe that would be like a lot better straight out the box. So for example, like Crytek or Tokyo Marui, they're a bit more expensive brands, but their performance, and as much as a lot of people like upgrading them, or some people think they're better out of the box, it's not always the case that their out of the box performance will be like rocket level differences in performance. So do keep that in mind when you are buying things. So for example, you could go for something like the G&G CM16 Raider. It's one of the most common M4 AEGs that people buy, and out of the box it is a perfectly fine gun. You can of course choose to upgrade it over time if you want, but for some people, like newer players, that might not be what they're planning to do. They might just want something that works out of the box. So an example of me trying to decide between two weapons when I was buying was, I was on the fence between the Novrich SSR90 and the Crytek P90. So I'll put on screen their price differences, but I think at the time the Novrich SSR90 was about 300 to 350, whereas the Crytek P90 was around 400 to 450. So of course that's already a 100 to 150 pound price difference, which depending on the site is quite expensive. And they were both FN Herstal trademarked, and the actual features of them, for me it looked as if the SSR90 had a couple more features and was kind of more like a replica that was ready to go out the box. So for me, that justified me to get the SSR90 instead. So I bought that second hand, and that actually came with 3 magazines, the original box, 2 batteries, a charger, a scope with the protector. I think it was the Novrich one-time scope. And it also came with a blaster tracer, and I think the only other thing is that the person had done a pretty nice paint job on it. So that SSR90 was actually my main weapon for a riot. So yeah, I mean, when you're picking things, just because something's more expensive, it might not be better out the box. And with my products that I usually buy, as you see, I do buy a lot of Novrich stuff, considering I have the SSX 303, I have the SSR90, 2 SSP5s, an SSP 18 and an SSP 28. And I've owned before the SSP 1 and the SSG 10. And the thing I like about Novrich products is some of them, in terms of price, actually compare quite fairly to other stuff. And I think an example would be, for example, the SSP1 is pretty similar in price to most high capper platforms, and out of the box I would say it does perform better than most. Of course, I find that Novrich products are usually ones that you buy without the intention of upgrading them yourself, as they come out of the box to a certain level that I usually think is higher than out of the box replicas of other brands. So that's personally why I buy Novrich ones when I'm buying. But I do, of course, have other platforms. Like I have the SEMA bolster, so that's the patrol base upgraded SMG5, which I shot on screen. And I also have other things like the WE23 micro gun. I have the TTI Pit Viper, as I'm a John Wick fan. And I recently, of course, got the Tokyo Marui Saiga 12, which, although it's one of the more expensive shotguns you can get, it is a gas-powered tri-shot. The recoil is really nice, and when you've got it plugged into HPA, just having the extra capacity is cool. But as you see, I do buy from different brands, and different brands are good in different ways. So yeah, that's what to consider when buying your replicas. Also, I will do a separate video on my experience buying replicas, so I'll show you the first 10 I got and tell you the prices of each of them, as well as what they came with, and hopefully help you when you're also buying replicas to decide what to buy and in which order. Either things I definitely would recommend and things that I wouldn't recommend as much. Buying replicas, I'll give you an example of the SEMA series versus the SEMA Platinum series. So SEMA is a slightly lower priced brand, but they do produce quite a lot of good variety of replicas, and their SEMA series replicas are a bit cheaper, but they still do perform well out the box. But if you pay a little bit more for the SEMA Platinum series, they usually come with a couple extra upgrades which can make them better than the standard, increasing their reliability, their performance, and yeah, in terms of if you don't think you're likely to do the upgrades yourself, just simply buying a slightly more expensive from the same brand version of the gun, then you can then get a better version. So I'll compare on screen the standard of a replica and the platinum version, just so you can see the couple upgrades they have and the upgraded support that they've been given. When you are buying any of your replicas, do also consider that if you're using a assault rifle, for example, and a pistol, you're going to need more than one magazine. So whenever you're buying something, if you can, remember to also buy extra magazines. So for an assault rifle, I'd recommend having around at least 4 magazines. So you can then have 1 in your rifle and 3 or 4 on here, so that you've got a capacity of 4 mags total, and you can either have them all 4 there, so that when you're walking in and out the safe zone, then you've got a space for each of your magazines, or you can have 3 mags here, like that, and you can have 1 in your pocket so that it's just ready to go as soon as you leave the safe zone. So also consider that when you're buying magazines, that you're also going to need relevant pouches for them. So M4 magazines are very good because they have quite a lot of different pouches that you can get for them. But do consider as well that when you're buying mags, to also buy magazine pouches. And the way you configure your pouches on your vest or your belt is up to you. But as a right-handed shooter, for me, it makes more sense to have my mags on my left side, as it's easier to reach across. And for your secondary, you can also, of course, have it holstered on your right or left, depending on you. But do consider that if you do have a plate carrier where you've got one set here, space there, and space on the back, you're going to be able to need to reach the things. So if you do have your sidearm here, for example, if you've got too many things here that could potentially block your draw path, then it could get blocked as you pull up. So do consider how many magazines you need and how many pouches you'll also need to be able to put them in. So for assault rifles, like I said, I'd recommend having at least 4 magazines, and even if they're just say 120 rounds, that's still 480 for, which should be more than enough. Unless you're a bit more trigger happy, then maybe you want to get some more higher capacity mags or a drum mag, for example. But yeah, 4 of your primary weapon magazines and 3 of your secondary. Your secondary, like I said before in the starter guide, you won't be using as much, but it's also nice to have the option of, say your primary has run low on ammo, you still have a secondary that you can swap to, or at some sites they offer a rule of gun hits. So if your primary weapon gets shot, then that counts as like that's gone, so you can then switch to a secondary, and if you then get hit after, then you're dead. But just having the option as well to also have the potential for another life as so, or say you're in the middle of a fight, your primary runs out of ammo, and it's up to you whether or not it's quicker for you to switch mags as so, or draw to your secondary. But also you need to consider that if you're a right-handed shooter, if your secondary is on your right hand as well, then you're gonna have to hold it with your left and then draw with your right. But also having the option of potentially switching it so that your left hand holster is here, so that you can have your primary down, hold it still with your hand that you were holding it with before, go down and go up like that with your secondary can also help. Also be doing a guide on how you set up your plate carrier or vest, and I'll show a couple of my ways that I set up a plate carrier or just a tactical vest, and I'll show you with a couple different tactical vests and stuff I have, so that you can see what's better for you and get some ideas of how you might want to have your gear. I can also show in that video a belt setup, so I'll show my belt setup in that as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Now that we've gone through everything else so far, we'll now talk about when you get to the end of your game day, some things to consider so you don't make mistakes, and you can save your money, of course. So when you get to the end of the game day, of course, you've had your fun now. When I'm actually at the field, I try to always remember to unplug my batteries there and then, because say if you have like a busy evening after, you may forget to unplug your battery. And what can happen if you leave your battery in your replica? So airsoft batteries is not like your phone or phone, camera or anything, where if they run dry, the battery can then just be charged up again. If you let a airsoft lipo battery run completely dry, there's a chance that it'll never be able to have charge again. It just will like fully cease to work. So if you think about it, you've just made it so your nice replica you've got, you now don't have a working battery for it, and which means you can't play again soon. So you've just wasted however much that battery costed, whether that's like 15 to 25 pounds or something like that, and you've just wasted money like that. So always remember at the end of your game day to unplug your battery. I usually prefer to do it there, or if it's easier for you to do it when you're home, then maybe just set an alarm on your phone to remind you to do it later. But always unplug your airsoft battery for your replica at the end of the day, or if you're not using an electric gun, then of course it's different. But another thing to remember as well is your mags that you've used over the day, whether that's your primary mags or your secondary mags. It's important to empty them completely so that the spring is fully extended, as if you don't empty your mags at the end of the day, then when you next go to use your kit, it may not feed as well because the spring's been under constant tension. And if the spring's under constant tension, then it means that it can't reliably feed if you weaken your spring, it won't feed the BBs up efficiently, and meaning that your weapon won't be shooting as well, and yeah, it's not ideal. So always remember to empty your magazines at the end of the day. If you're using mid caps, you can simply just press the button on the top and it will spray all the BBs out. Of course, if you've got like a bottle style or a bag of your BBs, then you can just empty it to that so that it's not wasted. But of course, pay attention to what ammo you have in each of your magazines. So if they're all the same, then make sure to use, say you're using .28, make sure you're emptying them into your .28 bag. If in your pistol you're using .2 to .25s, then make sure you're emptying them into your right either pot or container for them. So yeah, keeping your springs under less tension by emptying them at the end of the day is definitely something I'd recommend for the longevity of your gear. So yeah, always remember, unplug your battery at the end of the day and empty your magazines so that they keep their spring tension. And for other people, say if you're using a drum magazine or something, then for the manual ones, also empty them as well if you remember. And also for the electric drum mags, you might want to unplug your battery that's connected at the end of the day, as you don't want it to be eating up the battery, as then when you next need to use it, you might not have it fully charged for when you next play, and then you may run into issues like it stop feeding. So then if it's not got enough power, then it won't be able to feed your BBs up, and that's your replica out of use. So yeah, always make sure to take out your mags, empty your mags, take out your battery from your replica, and especially if you also use drum mags, then make sure to take your battery out of your drum mag as well. And also, when storing your gear, if you can store it in a nice organized way so that you remember where everything is. Say for your secondary, you can get a pistol case, have your pistol and your magazines just next to each other and closed up. Then you've got an easy way to carry it, and also you know that your pistol is with your pistol mags. Cases like these where they have the foam filling in as well is also nice for you've got the extra, if it's moving around inside the case, it's not going against like plastic and bashing around. Also for your primary replica, you can either have a hard shell gun case that's also foam filled, which will have the extra protection that, like, if it's hitting into other things in your way or while you're storing them, they're a bit more secure in them. You can also get like soft shell gun bags, which are also useful for carrying them, and also they have the benefit of the pockets that are extra to them, so you can say store your magazines separately, the replica in one bit, the magazines, and then you can also have like your batteries or extra ammo and things stored separately. So yeah, also when keeping your gear, always have it in a place where you know it's going to be, so that you're not looking for your gear on the day or the night before and you're not sure where you've kept it. So that would also be another tip that I'd give you, that always keep your gear where you know it's going to be. And when you're getting ready for a game day, it's best, I always say, to do it the night before, in terms of have everything you need out and ready all together, so that you, and maybe have a list as well of your kit. So say your primary replica, the magazines you're going to need for it, and what's going to power it, either the batteries, or if it's a gas powered one, then you'll need your green gas separately for it, or if you run a HPA, like your air tank and stuff, separately. For your pistol, you'll need of course the mags, you'll need gas for them to be powered, and your ammo for them. I'd recommend for your ammo clips and stuff, if you're going to an early morning game, then maybe it might be better for you to reload them the night before. But usually I would recommend, if your game day starts a bit later in the day, then either, if you're not loading up two high capacity magazines, then you can do it there, or you can do it in the morning. But of course it's important to remember that to load your mags before you're there, or if you know you won't have a lot of time there to do them, then you can get speed loaders that can speed up that process. So most people have the regular like thumb speed loaders but you can get things like the Odin Speedloader, which is a crank one, which will make reloading your magazines a bit easier. Or you can get options like the EMG Autobot, which also is an electric powered one that can speed up reloading your mags. Or if you have the budget for it, you can get a Vanguard Speedloader, which is the bigger one, but it has of course a stronger motor, stronger battery, and also has like the preset options, so you can decide how many BBs you want to load per mag, and it will cut off automatically once it's reached that desired amount. As for example with the Autobot Speedloader, you just push your mag down, and eventually when it's full it should push off with once you've got the magazine capacity full. But that's also a manual side to it that you need to be wary of, as if you try and mag and it's too hard on it, then it will just stop the gears or stop the motor from working and you can break it. So at least with the Vanguard as the most expensive option, but of course it's the most refined, it's something to consider as well for loading your magazines. But yeah, I'd recommend reloading your magazines on the day if you've got the time to do it. So you can do it like say just an hour before you leave, then you'll have your magazines loaded up and ready for when you're there. But yeah, having a list of everything you need definitely helps. Like, so how much ammo you're planning to take for the day, how much gas you'll need for your secondary. Usually just having one can's more than enough, but also just shaking the can to get an idea of if it is actually got some capacity to it. And of course what carrying options you'll need, your mask or your eye protection, helmet if you're bringing one, your vest as well. With the vest, of course, you can have your pouches set for how you think's ideal for you, but also just having that ready, knowing that, oh, if I'm taking, say, my M4, then I'm gonna have the M4 pouches set. Or if I'm, say, taking an AK instead, then for the night before, I would change to AK pouches, as they wouldn't be cross-compatible. So do keep that in mind as well. And yeah, that is pretty much everything I would recommend for once you're buying gear and what to do with your gear. So basically just don't make these mistakes that I made myself, as you can then save a lot of money when you're buying gear, and also for maintaining your gear as well. So yeah, thanks for watching as always. If you can drop a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And if you have a comment of any advice you would give to beginners or people when they're buying airsoft gear to help them out, then that would also be nice to see. Or also if you want to comment on anything I've said so far, if you disagree or agree with anything, then at least people can know if what I said was actually helpful to you or you find it useful. Then at least them seeing you agree can also help to boost the fact that, oh yeah, what I'm saying actually made sense. Or if you disagree, then you can leave a comment as well, and that can also give them a more informed decision. For example, Novrich is a brand that I like, but some people may not like it as much and may have other brands they could recommend instead. So yep, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and hope to catch you guys again soon.